You see me?
We did it!
Here! Woo!
Woo! Just
Yeah, it worked. I was so sad. I was like, I'm here. I'm requesting. And Instagram was like, no.
yeah. And we're so shadow banned that
I
now
know
they won't even let us go live on each other's videos.
Instagram, bunch of haters is what they are.
Hey, it's only been a little bit since I've seen you, but it's good to
I
see you again.
good to see you too. I can't believe this is happening. I'm gonna try to be cool and relax and chill, but bear with me if I get like, a little like,
Look how good we did.
yeah!
I wish I had it printed. It's I thought you were mimicking your hands.
Oh, well, I kind of was, but also that's like my excited,
It came out so beautifully. This is our standing next to the bathroom door light.
yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, Bree and I have just met I'm Ryan, and that's Bree. Oh, I guess I should say what we're doing since we're not like actually Pic-Time and we're on their account. It's like this is a hostile takeover of the Pic-Time account.
Your account.
Yeah, we're like pirates. Send us something or you'll never see your Instagram account again.
Get rid of my shadow ban. I know they don't have anything to do with that, but whatever.
Yeah, so I'm Ryan and this is Bree, and we're just hosting a little friend artist talk on the Pic-Time account so you guys can get to know some photographers that use Pic-Time better. It's not really like a chat about Pic-Time per se, it's just like getting on their account and saying, hey.
I'm here.
Awesome. I think the only technical issue I'm have when I'm talking, I don't think I can hear you if you start talking. So we'll just do a good job of like
Oh,
starting and stopping.
all right, yeah. That's
Maybe it's my headphones. Maybe I should give up on that. Let me check that real quick.
okay.
Oh, now we see my like gross hair. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. All right.
All right, let's talk at the same time. All right, one, two, three.
This is us talking at the same time. Oh, no, I can't.
Oh, for real?
No, I can't hear you when I'm talking.
Oh, okay, then yeah. Then I'm gonna try not to talk when you talk.
It's like some weird power trip thing of like, let's. Okay, we got it. Well, yeah, sorry. That's like a don't speak when I'm speaking type thing now.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay, cool.
But awesome. We're going to do it. So would you mind just like introducing yourself, however it is you introduce yourself? You make beautiful work, but like, what is it and who are you?
Yeah, okay. Well, I am Bree, like the cheese. That's kind of like my go-to like introduction. Although I found like recently I've been saying that and people are like, "What's Brie cheese?" And I'm like, "Are you for real? Like you never had it? It's creamy and delicious." But anyway, yeah. So I am a photographer. I guess like maybe before the pandemic, you could say I'm a wedding. But now I'm just like I'm an artiste. I create I do shoot wedding images, but also create images of my life, documenting like my motherhood through an artistic lens. So I create images for empowered mothers. Like I have always felt a need to feel represented and seen. And there's kind of like a hole in society for Black moms being seen in the way that I like to. So it's kind of like what I'm trying to fill in. That's my work.
Can I have you elaborate on that just right away? You said being seen like I like to. What is how you like to be seen?
Yeah, so I've always been attracted to classical work, classical art. You see a lot of that art, and majority of it uh, is just kind of like soaked in whiteness. I don't really get to see a lot of like blackness portrayed in that way, so that's kind of been always like my like go-to, just kind of trying to fill in those gaps for people who want to see blackness in that way too, portrayed in like classical sense and like a divine sense. That's kind of what I'm trying to fill in.
I'd actually, sorry to just keep making you elaborate.
Oh, it's
I'd actually love to know more what you mean by the classical sense, because I've always been, my inspiration has always been like high Renaissance art, like,
yeah.
the Ninja Turtles, basically. But like Michelangelo and like Caravaggio, that's always been my like, and obviously I haven't had to think of that in a like, I'm not represented in this work.
I mean, gosh, you're lucky to like feel that way. You know, like I went to art school, so I studied art history. Like I
Me
studied
too.
all parts of art, and every like the one thing I could see was like stuff that I was attracted to didn't show me. So like I love Baroque art. Like that's my
Yeah.
favorite like I guess time period. It's very like dramatic. I love that like that moody light, the spotlight. Look at me, look at this drama, look at this like
Yeah.
I love that, but like I just didn't really see myself in that. So like I like Rembrandt, like I love like that like type of lighting, but I wanted to stay interested when I was learning it, but like when you don't see yourself, you
Yeah.
don't see that you could be involved in that, then it kind of makes you feel, you get the feels badsies. So that's kind of like one of the things I'm trying to like fill in with my art. Like I love Baroque art, like I love drama, so I just want to insert like my blackness into it.
That is amazing. I mean, that's already so interesting for me to hear, not even as like trying to be the interviewer. I already want to like just pause and think about that, but
Yeah, I mean it's a powerful thing, I think, to be seen and feel represented, if it's something that doesn't come naturally and you have to like go and seek things like that, like then I don't know. Yeah, this has kind of always been like one of my driving forces. It's just like trying to like show things that I'm interested in and open up the doors for other people to find interest in that. So like with Baroque art, like it's not for everybody, but like
yeah.
someone like trying to like do a little bit of something like that, then maybe it kind of spreads to the masses a little bit, like last year I was really into trying to recreate like older paintings. Like I really love the swing, which is from like the Rococo like area of art. So it's very like playful, very fun, but again, not very black, and it's like I want to see joy and like opulence. And so I was like, I'm going to recreate the swing with me in it, and kind of like share that with everybody too, so everyone feels represented.
Awesome. I'm really trying hard not to talk at the same. I get all excited and want to just react, but then it mutes your mic when I do it for me. So I'm trying to get better. So when you're like, say with the swing or with one of the Baroque pieces that you said, I'm going to recreate this and be represented and seen, how important is it to you? Do you just like make the images and just say, well, they'll just get the feeling from this? Or is it important for you to like mix talking about it, like this is what I'm doing? Or is it just letting the images speak about it?
It's a little bit of both. It just kind of depends on what kind of mood I am when I'm about to like release it into the world. So if I feel like with the swing, I explained that. Like I explained where it came from. I talked about like my desire to feel seen while being in this art school situation where everyone kind of looks the same, everyone's kind of creating the same type of art, but I'm not feeling like I can do it myself. So I explained that, and when I said this is the swing, they're like, "Oh shit! Like that is the swing!" Like
Awesome.
other things, like it'll just be kind of like a subtle nod. Like you look at an image, and I don't need to tell you where it came from, but it kind of has
Right.
a bit of like a Baroque, like dramatic feel to it. So it's just like whatever mood I'm in.
Um, I have a question I love asking people, but I feel like we might have already just answered it. So
Oh,
maybe you can say if there's anything else, or if there isn't. I mean, the way we just talked about it was amazing. It actually just came up in my head while you were saying that. One of my favorite things to ask people is what's something that's having an effect on the work you're creating that isn't so obviously on the surface. Like obviously you're a mother and it's so prominent in your work. And I think someone could spend 10 seconds looking at the work and being like, wow, motherhood is really obviously influencing this body of work.
yeah.
And the way you just talked about like being into art history and loving a certain genre but not seeing yourself in it seemed like such an intriguing answer to that. But I just loved the question so much on its own that I wanted to ask it.
Yeah, man, it's a good question. I feel like there's like a lot of layers to it. I think like one things that I'm always trying to like give a voice to in my work is like my inner child. I talk about that a lot because it's really something that's important to me. Like when I was younger, I always felt the need to express myself in some type of way, but I couldn't do it. I always felt like I wanted to be a part of something, but I didn't feel like I was included. Like always kind of like on the outside looking in, you
Yeah.
know. When a lot of my art that I'm creating, like I'm going back and I'm listening to like my inner child and trying to say like, what do you want me to say today? Like, what parts of you do you feel like you want people to see? Or like, what are the things that I gravitated towards when I was younger, that I still really love, but I want other people to see that too. It's always like the inner voice, the inner child, like trying to get her to,
Have you
have a
have
seat
you
at.
sorry, I'm
Oh,
I got to do better at that. I get excited and then I
it's all
mute
good.
you for me.
I,
Have you have you ever gotten an answer asking yourself something that surprised you? Because that's a really interesting dynamic to be like, I'm going to go inside myself and ask myself a question versus, like, well, this is just stuff I think about. When you're contextualizing it in, no, I'm asking myself this. Have you ever had an experience of doing that and then been like, this is the answer, and then been like, whoa?
well, yeah, I guess like really it was truly the start of creating like the motherhood or documenting my motherhood journey. Like just that was a surprise. Like the first image I created that was a little bit, you know, edgy and like kind of represented like that is what surprised me. I was thinking of like my inner child then, like she wants to feel, I don't know if a kid wants to feel like, she wants to feel empowered, so that was kind of like shocking to me. So like when I created something where like, my boob is hanging out and like my kid is breastfeeding, I was like, that's what you want to create, like that's how you want to show all of this, like that was what's shocking to me.
I love that.
That's kind of like, how it is. And then another like layer to it all is just like mentality, like a lot of my work too is kind of like a little bit of impressionistic, trying to like get out the emotions that I'm feeling, or like how my anxiety has decided to manifest itself on that day, or in that moment. That's kind of like all of that.
Yeah, I very much know. I feel like that's me too. It's that process of like, can I feel something and then can I make something that feels like that thing? Because
Yeah.
if you can, it's like the last surviving magic trick.
Yeah. And then like all of like a lot of my just like favorite shots have always kind of come out of like a surprise element too. So like I set out to do something and I set it up and I have this like image in my mind and I'm like, it's gonna turn out like this. And then like I set it up and then I like coax my kids into the frame and whatnot, and it starts like, breaking down into something. I'm like, this is not what I wanted. Like I'm getting frustrated. Like I just need y'all to sit down. I need you to do this, blah blah blah. And just like, come on. And then all of a sudden it like creates something real, like something that I didn't expect. Like somehow like I love Tool. Like Tool ends up like being wrapped around my head.
I thought you meant the band for a second.
No, but like the
Yeah.
and it ends up like being like wrapped around my head, and you're like, where did that come from? And then I end up getting shocked by that, and it ends up being representative of how I was feeling at the time, and it ends up being a better image than what I thought I was going to create at the time anyway.
I have a follow-up question to something you were saying just a little bit ago. Um, you were saying like, I'm trying to do something and I'm dragging my kids into it and then they're falling apart and then it turns into this real thing. How do you balance with like when your children are such an integral part of the image to, when things can start falling apart or going poorly, that's when like I feel like something so real or personal can come out. But
Mm.
how do you balance it with their, I mean, consent seems a drastic word, but like their involvement in letting something come out for them that's more your desire to create and share that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, how do I balance it? It just really comes to me realizing that, like, I mean, it is really consent. They're real people too. And if they don't want to do something, if they don't want to be a part of the image, if they're feeling like, I don't want to be coaxed into this, like, backdrop that you set up and we take pictures again, like, I'm done. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like, I realize that they're people too. They don't want to be in the picture. They don't have to be in the picture. Or if, like, I really truly have my heart set on
Yeah.
something and I've been thinking about it for a long time. Like there's a lot of like pre-planning that goes into it, which you have to do when you have toddlers and you want to incorporate them into your art, then I just stop. I say, you know what, this isn't working right now. Like, what do you feel like doing? Let's go not do this right now and then come back to it. And eventually, I will get the shot that I want, or it may not be the shot that I wanted, but it was the shot that was supposed to be made, you know?
I love that. I appreciate you answering that too. I feel pretty selfish in the interview. I'm just asking stuff that feels of personal interest to me, because some of my most favorite work I've ever made has come with really close friends and collaborators who kind of actively said, I want to shoot when I don't want to shoot.
Yeah.
Everybody just makes this stuff when it's so amazing, we're so happy, and that's when you get together, because if you feel crappy, then you're like, not today, okay?
Yeah.
And I got some friends that said, I want to make stuff on those not today days to see what that will feel like, and to have the permission to engage in work when it's not like this is working well. And I, as looking through some of your work, it does have that drama and that like realness to it. And I was just personally fascinated in hearing balancing that with doing that with kids.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, kids are a hot mess. Like motherhood is a hot mess. And so like, I toy on the line of like, doing something surreal that feel or like impressionistic of motherhood, and then also like doing something that's real. So like I said, like when I set something up that I really want, I have an image in mind, it has to be like perfect, then sometimes it might not just happen when it happens. Like sometimes
Yeah.
days. Sometimes I have been working on something for like a week. I keep setting it up, and if it just doesn't work out with them, it doesn't work out. But sometimes it does. And sometimes I create things that I didn't realize I needed to at the time.
Yeah. Do you have a way of finding that personal line for yourself between, no, I will keep doing this until we get this great idea to execute, to look, it's something new, it turned into something different, let it be this, and that's beautiful too? Is that just a case by case basis, or
Yeah.
do you have an example of a time you've been like, no, it has to happen?
Um, yeah, I mean it's a case by case thing. Like sometimes like when I'm thinking about something like I did like a project last year. Like I'm still like really obsessed with this one where I wanted to like recreate like the birth of Venus.
Oh,
And like I called it like the birth of giving no fucks, because like truly, like me coming into my own. Thinking about this for a long time, and I was like, I mean, I ordered like this blow up like shell, and then like I hauled it all the way to the beach, which is close to me, and I went through like getting there. Like it took like 30 minutes just to walk to the beach up the hill because everything was closed. You can't park near it because of the pandemic at the time where they were shutting down parks. But I was like, I'm gonna fight through this picture. I'm going to get it. I had it in my mind. It had to be done. And I got on the beach and I'm setting it up and the wind's blowing and I don't know how to hold up this thing and the kids are crying. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I was like, but I'm going to get the shot. Like I went through all of this. It has to happen. And I mean, just taking patience and realizing that you push through to get your image. And I ended up creating some other shots that were close to like my original image. And a lot of times it's just me stopping for my kid to like breastfeed because that's her thing. She likes to do it. And accepting that like that's just going to be a part of the image. But also like I ended up getting the shot that I wanted. So.
awesome. I feel like I got to be a little less selfish. We asked everyone for questions,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm like, no, screw that. I'm going to ask everything I want to ask.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
So I'm not being rude and getting on my phone. I realized I'd be on my phone and couldn't read the
Yeah,
questions.
I'm just kidding.
so so I took some screenshots. B-roll backup. Also, I gotta say that I love just knowing everyone's Instagram handles instead of their real names. I
Yeah,
was like, I'm gonna go live with Moon. Okay, that that
yeah,
can't be her real name.
yeah. Moon and Cheese, like my drag name almost. Is how I like to say it.
I'll tell you my drag name later. It's a
Okay.
really good one. B-roll backup said, do you have a pre-planned idea for how to keep your work fresh when there's such a similar theme running through it? And I thought that's really interesting because long-term projects where it's like, look at this over this stretch are so fascinating, but in the day of doing like, I'm going to take something I've sort of worked on for the 70th time, how do you approach that with your mentality?
I like to think about it in like a human aspect, you know, like a lot of my work is like humanity kind of at its core. And like, I mean, humans change, don't they? They grow. Like we have our desires, we have the things that we're obsessed with. Like I love flowers, and putting flowers in my hair is like my favorite thing to do, but of course it can get like a little stale. But just realizing that like in the end, like every image that I create is me. You know, it's what I'm feeling at the time, it's what I need, it's what I need to express. Even if it does feel like it could be the same thing, it's still presenting some different aspect. You know, it's presenting my humanity in a way that feels right at the time. And like I said, like as we're humans, we change, we grow, but we're still attracted to the same things because you can't really change who you are in your core. You just kind of adapt in different ways. So that's kind of how I look at it with my photography too. Like, you know, I'm attracted to the same things. I like to photograph the same subjects, but each time it's a little different. Each time it's showing a little bit of what I'm feeling at the time. Like every situation is different. You can't recreate the same image for another time, even though you can try over and over, you know? So that's kind of like how
Can,
that.
can you think of it? Sorry, I'm asking all these questions of like, think of an interesting answer to this.
Yeah.
I'm just personally curious, no pressure if not. But
Yeah.
can you think of a time in like where you've been working on something that was a recurring theme, where something came up that was like, whoa, something about this is different, even though I've spent so much time thinking or working on this, like something's shifted, where it was like noticeable, or has it just been like an overtime type thing?
I want to say it's like a overtime time type thing. Like if it's noticeable, it's something that I haven't seen myself. Like I've always been attracted to adding some type of like religious element into.
Oh, me too.
Like I love the idea of like the Madonna and child, and just like divinity and motherhood itself. Like the, you know, Mary, she's the ultimate mother, you know, like just portraying that in some type of way. So I feel like a lot of times like I am going for those poses, like the same type of colors that she's like portrayed in like classical art. And then maybe like at a point there is like a breakthrough. So like I'm posing us in a way that is reminiscent of religious paintings, but then like all of a sudden something like clicks, you know. So I guess I don't have like a specific
Mm.
time, but I feel like it does click over time, you know.
I have a, I'll stop saying I have a follow-up question. Obviously, I have a follow-up question. We're just talking and I keep asking questions. So maybe I can stop giving so many
Oh,
qualifiers. But just in hearing that you're also interested in the religious iconography, I guess, kind of it. Um, do you have anything in your work that, you know, like we talked about, like I'm into Baroque style and I just want to make that because I love it. For me, my interest in Christian imagery, I grew up Christian and it did not go very well for me. And I'm not anymore. And while I was Christian, I kind of hated the symbology of it because it just felt like something that was hurting me. But then once I wasn't, I was like, oh, I want to make Jesus and Mary pictures. You know, then I like fell in love with what it meant to me instead of what it had to mean to me. And I was wondering if there are any elements in your work of, instead of just like, I love this, I'm trying to show it, like this hurts me, I'm trying to put it into what I'm doing.
yeah. I mean, pretty much like, yeah, similar to what you said. Like my attraction to Christian imagery comes from like growing up in the Christian church and having to like deal with like my feelings and kind of being like surrounded with that being my community, and not really being able to grow within that aspect. So I guess I don't know, I'm being delicate with what I'm saying.
No, I'm sorry. I'm asking really intense
Yeah,
questions on the spot.
it is a conversation. It's a subject that I'm very passionate about, but also I'm very like reluctant to completely open up about it, just because of it still being kind of like a dominating aspect in my life. But it is something that I did grow up in, and it's kind of helping me like formulate how I truly feel about it all. Because
I
yeah, yeah, like religion can be thrust upon you, and you can decide to accept it and grow within it, or you you become othered, So like when I like am drawn to religious aspects, it's really coming from like feeling like this is how you get to connect with other people. Like this is how you can connect with. It's all inner child shit, Like this is how you connect with like the people who raised you. Like being able to show like how you've interpreted like that religious aspect. But then yeah, there's other things like that are like put into my art. Like a lot of my insecurities, I kind of like to flip them a little bit. Like recently, I did something where I was just like, you know what? I'm kind of done with shaving, like hair has always been something that I've been insecure about as a woman. Like, society tells you you should be smooth in certain aspects, or like maybe hair shouldn't be in a certain way. So I was like, when I'm like shooting something, I'm like, ooh, this looks good, but like I wanted to show off like underwear, and I'm like, dang, it's like I'm kind of like hairy and it feels weird. So I was like, how can I like turn that in a way that works for me, and I'm expressing like this is an insecurity, but I'm also taking back my power when it comes to
yeah.
something. So that's how I see it. Like you can even say like maybe like religion is an insecurity, and that's why I'm like drawn to it. That's why it pops up in my work very often, even in subtle ways. I'll sit there, I'm holding my kid, and it's like, damn, you look just like, the Madonna again. It's just
Yeah.
like happening. It just is there, and it's because like my inner child is saying, this is it. Like she's running the show. So
I gotta say, I really, really like talking to you, and I love your answers. I'm trying to be a good interviewer and think about what to say next, and my brain keeps being like, I need a break. I want to sit and think about that for a second, think about what that means to me.
well, like I said, I'm trying to be cool, but
Oh,
okay,
oh, we're you're doing amazing.
I'm cool.
I'm cool too. But seriously, it's like clearing my mind when I love having these talks with artists of I don't know I love hearing what makes people do what they do because I think it's beautiful and I want to make money is almost it's for everybody and hearing this like I don't know. I'm still stuck on the first thing you said. I'm
Oh,
trying to think of like, what if I was looking at all of Michelangelo's stuff and I didn't feel seen or represented in all of that?
yeah.
How would it be different for you? And that was so interesting just to think about. I'm like spending the rest of the time being like, hey, come back, buddy. So I just wanted to say thanks for your super thoughtful and interesting answers.
Probably gonna cry later, but it's keeping it together now.
Okay, so here's my next question, and not too much pressure on it, because apparently I'm some hard-hitting journalist, but you've managed to explore some personal and challenging and, like fear or shame-based stuff and make some beautiful work out of it. And it doesn't have to be an intense answer, but is there anything that sticks with you of like, I want to make something about this. I want to make something about this that you haven't. And if you feel like sharing why you haven't, I'm interested in that.
Um, I guess no. I feel like I've explored a lot of. Well, okay. I've always kind of wanted to explore a little bit more of my like romantic relationship. And I haven't really touched on it. Typically, because when I do touch on it, it gets like this response, and it's really scary and overwhelming for me, which makes me kind of like back up from it a little. So
Sorry, a big response or like a negative response?
a little bit of both, yeah.
Interesting.
Like I'm in an interracial relationship, and I mean, it's 2021, but that's still very controversial. And a lot of times when I do like post about my relationship, there is a response, and like I have people like dropping into my DMs, and like it kind of messes up my mental health a little bit, and it makes me kind of scared to like pursue that avenue. But when I was in art school, a lot of my like subject matter was us, like it, I always wanted to talk about that and explore it. Just a little nervous. Still,
Man, that's
I'm not ready to completely open up about, but yeah. But
man,
just
that's really fascinating to me too. I'm also going through the mental health Instagram thing of I'll see, I have all the analytics and everything, and I'll see what gets a response.
mm,
And and I see that thing of driving, how people say like everything looks the same on Instagram.
mm,
And I have this like, yeah, but it's not just that. They're forcing it to look the same.
for real.
Because if you make something different, they just stop showing it to people.
Mhm.
So it's encouraging people to not make anything different. And then if they do, it's not even shown. And
Yeah.
I've seen that it's producing this really weird reaction in me that sometimes I'm not posting work I know will do well, that
Mhm.
I'm posting, at the wrong time of day and content that I know isn't going to do well, but then I'm sad that I didn't get likes and follows. I mean, you have any insights for all of us out there on handling Instagram and our mental health?
Man, I mean, insight about it. No, nothing that's like fun and interesting. Just the same like bone to pick that like, I'm tired of being censored, but I'm
Yeah,
not mess with it. Like it's a huge part of my life. It's a huge part of society, and like you can choose not to be a part of it, and you can choose to not play the game or whatnot. But they know you're not playing the game,
yeah,
and I mean they punish you for it.
yeah,
Or what if like playing or a lot of sometimes like not playing the game means you can be yourself, but then you get rejected for just
yeah,
being yourself and showing that you want. So then it makes you feel insecure and upset, and you're like, "Am I an artist? Like, ooh,
yeah,
got so and so likes," and it's like, "How dare I like base my entire identity on likes?" But here I am,
yeah.
know.
It's unavoidable. I mean, we live in a society now where you're Bree and you grew up like this and you went through all these things and you had all these feelings and you had all these triumphs and all these successes and all this triumph and all this heartbreak. And you sat down with your kids or yourself and you took a camera and you were like, I'm going to make something and I'm going to put myself into it and I'm going to share it. And 45 minutes later, you have a number score of how worthwhile your whole life was.
Like cool, 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 cool. So like you spend like all this time like creating something and walking up a hill for about an hour, sweating to get to a beach and setting up this like inflatable shell, and then you post it and everyone's like, eh. And you're just like, eh. Like
Yeah.
what? My whole identity. But I don't know, Instagram is just, what can you do? Like either you play the game or you don't.
Yeah. One of my favorite reperspectivizing quotes about all of it is from one of my favorite books, Infinite Jest. And there's a chapter in there about what one of the characters learned in rehab. And it's just short sentences, like 16 pages worth of one-liners of things I learned in rehab. And one of the most profound ones to me is that he said, you will become far less concerned with what everyone thinks of you when you realize how seldom they do.
Ah!
And it like hits sad, like,
It
oh, no
does.
one cares. But then it like hits happy of like, how come I give equal weight to these Instagram likes to I do as my whole life and whole heart and head full of things I want to care about?
Like, man, see, now you're getting all deep, and I'm like, damn, I'll think about that later. That's fair. But I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of wild how we do base a lot of our identity around that. But then you realize that maybe people really don't care.
Or
But
not that they don't care,
oh
just that they
yeah,
spend 1 second deciding whether or not to like it, and
yeah,
you spent 35 years deciding how to share it, and you should give more importance to where you're coming from.
that's true. And like, yeah, I'm gonna like real marinate on that later. But it's just amazing, like how we just consume and consume and consume and consume. Like we just swipe, 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 and you stop for a moment, you say, "Oh, that's good," and then you just keep moving on. And it's like I'm creating work for that, just for you to swipe and be like, "Ha," and then keep moving. I don't know, but how you get to display your work these days, especially
Yeah, it's the new town square. It's what we have. It's where we gather.
yeah,
That's why it hurts so much when they take it away from you because it's not just like Well, it's just an app. It's like, it's really not. It's where I met everyone I know now.
Feel like it's just like I don't know. I've made a lot of connections here, and like that's how I don't know. It's just man, Instagram. It's amazing how it could just consume everything and nothing at the same time. You know?
Yeah. Okay, can I ask another selfish question?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
We shouldn't call these like get to know Bree. We should call these like Ryan gets to ask all the stuff he wants to know.
Yeah, you can whatever. I'm up for it.
So you've like I mean we met before, but I mean I got to like interact with you more real because you came and modeled for the workshop Yan and I just taught in Portland.
Yeah, which is awesome. I can't believe
It
it.
was awesome. So you've obviously made a ton of really beautiful images of yourself, you know, that you're in artistic control of. And when you were like so gracious to show up with a room full of strangers and be yourself with your kids, do you have a different mindset of like, I have to show myself in this way because they're in more control of how this is going to be portrayed? Or do you feel like you can occupy the same mindset being photographed as you do photographing yourself? I mean, obviously I know it's a little bit different, but how big of a swing is that for you?
It's the same. Honestly, if anything, I prefer to be photographed by other people because,
You
like,
prefer it?
yeah, it's so much
Oh,
do it myself, you know, it really is. And I love doing it and it's fun and it's a creative outlet, but also like it's that inner child. I keep saying this, but
yeah.
she wanted to be a model when she was growing up, but realized that maybe 5'3.5" isn't gonna cut it in like, you know, society's standards of like modelhood. So like anything, I'm just living out my dream. Like when I get to model for people, I'm just like, yeah, like it's truly like a real passion. So
I love that. I love, man, okay, this is the first one I've done for them. I'm going to have to manage like,
oh good.
I want to sit and think about what they just said and just find out what that means to me without taking five, you know, it's like, all right, now we're going to have a 5 minute Zen silence break while Ryan thinks about what Bree just said. um, I love that though. That's had a big impact on me too, because I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to perform, you know,
Yeah.
and I have a terrible voice, but I just wanted to get up and perform. And then what I was able to get kind of okay at was photography, and it was almost backwards. You know, I was like, well, I can have a photo show and put the photos up, but I want to like perform the work.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting to hear that. I don't know why I assumed you were going to say I prefer to photograph myself based on, that was just an assumption for no reason.
That's surprising you, but honestly, no, I'm surprised to hear that you say kind of good at. Like, are you kidding me? Whatever. Like, I come with that. Like, I don't know. Just, I understand what you're coming from, though. Like, it's easy to just be like, well, like, I had a dream, and society said maybe not gonna work. So then you take another like way to like channel that, you
But
know.
you still want to do the first thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. Like, if anything, like you know, fine, like, you know, maybe I can't get paid to have other people photograph my work or photograph myself, but I can photograph myself and get paid, you know.
That's so interesting. That makes me want to ask other people that of like, what is something you thought you were going to be or wanted to be that didn't work out that is now informing the thing you do in a different way than most people do the thing you do? Sorry, I'm just repeating myself. I just actually got really interested in how you answered that.
Yeah, it's all about yeah, I just always wanted to be a model. Like I watched all America's Next Top Model, all that stuff. Like I stood in like the long belt lines for like model competitions, looking for the new face, thinking like maybe this will be it. And it's always like kind of been there, but I realized it's not gonna work, so I'll go to school for photography, you know, because I mean, it was something about the modeling that I love, and I was attracted to the. Sorry, that was a weird noise.
Ghosts. It's fine. Couple ghosts.
Yeah, but I was attracted to the photography too. So it's kind of like still doing what I always wanted, but you know.
I love hearing that. That came out that I don't mean to make your answers about me. I'm just honestly,
Sorry, I'm still like kind of.
oh,
There's a homeless dude that came into my house like a month ago, so like when I hear noises, I can still kind of get like what,
oh, whoa.
like weird, but the door's locked, so I'm good. I'm
If
gonna.
you have to go defend your home, you know, Just
But
keep the Instagram live going so we can cheer
yeah,
you on.
wait a second. I need you to leave. Okay, I'm good.
No, I was just saying that I'm still just dwelling on the thought because that came up for me in a really weird way too. Of like I wanted to be more of like an actor or a singer, and it turns out I was awful at both. And then I found photography, and I shot other people, and I shot models, and I did some documentary work, and I did some landscape work. But I wanted to be seen. And I was trying to put a lot of what I was going through into the work and be like, well, that's how you're seen. People
Yeah.
feel an emotion from your work and then you're seen. But it ended up getting more literal for me too, of like, I've shot a lot of naked people. Like, would you, pose naked? Like, absolutely not. And I really got into this whole thing. And one of my favorite bodies of work ended up me being like, write down all the stuff you ask people to do for you that you would not do for people,
Ooh.
and then start shooting it. And I have a print. It was in my gallery show for my first solo gallery show, but this is one of them. It was a nude self-portrait with my friend.
So good. Yeah. See?
And I mean, I didn't mean to make your answer about me. I just
Oh,
got really fascinated with, I don't even think I crystallized it that much until you said like, I'd rather model, that I had this like, I think I wanted to be seen more literally than I was like giving whatever. This is turning into a weird interview because you're really making me think about myself a lot.
I love it. I just love like being able to like connect with people in ways that you wouldn't expect it. Like, in that situation. And it just shows that like you can connect with a lot of other people, like people you would be afraid to talk to and stuff and realize
I'm
that,
afraid to talk to everyone.
oh well, me too, honestly. But like it's really interesting like having that in common, and it's just yeah. I'm rambling. I don't know where I went.
Oh my, I love it. You've given me tons to think about.
Let's see.
Um, so now I've got a Pic-Time question because I'm bringing you this Instagram live from Pic-Time's account, which I kind of forgot about. I got to be way more careful what I say. I'm like representing their business with my like, I'm going to make images about Jesus, and I'm like,
Oh, I'm, but it's all good. Just should never feel weird about speaking your truth.
I agree. Unless you're on someone else's Instagram account.
That too. Yes.
So we both have art galleries up for Pic-Time where we made galleries of images that people can buy prints of for us. And I know it was a really interesting process for me of trying to choose, like someone will want this, where it's not so direct as like, oh, this was a client shoot. I shot their wedding. They'll probably want a picture of them getting
Yeah.
married. And you have so much beautiful work. And even browsing your Instagram, I was like, and maybe I'm more open-minded than people. I think a lot of people don't want to print of someone that's not like someone they know or something. I feel way more open-minded if I just see someone's amazing image and I'm like, oh, I want to print of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in trying to choose images of like someone would want this, what's your thought process like in that?
Yeah. So I want to say it's really just like a give no fucks like type thought process. Like I don't know if I want it to sell it, like I'm gonna sell it. Like I really come from like this one picture that I had. Like I shot this couple in Montreal like maybe 8 years ago, and they had like this amazing like painting up on their wall of like this black woman with a fro, and she's naked and she's on a pink couch and she has like gold things on her nipples, and I saw that and I was like, wow, like I love it. I don't think I had a fro, or maybe I did. It was like a baby fro, and I saw that and I was like, I want to be that person when I grow up. And they just had like a naked picture of a black woman in their home. And I thought that was powerful. And then like that's kind of always been in the back of my mind. So, like, people want, empowered photos in their home. So like if it's a shot that I really like and I feel like, I want people to see it, then I'm gonna put it up. But then also like completely contradictory to what I said.
I love that.
I listen to the people too. Like if I post something on Instagram and they're like, ooh, I wish I had a print of that, or like you should put that up in your print gallery, then I will, because if it's gonna sell, then it's gonna sell too, right? So
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think I've been surprised by that, and maybe I should give people more credit. A lot of times I have shots that I love, and I'm like, no one cares about this. No one would want to take this and put it on their wall. And then when someone does, it's really, really powerful and empowering when it happens, I
Yeah.
think.
It makes me cry. Every time I get a print sale, I just like I stop and I just I thank the universe for like allowing the person that purchased this print to like come into my like space, realize that what they like and they see is like resonating with them to the point where they wanted to spend like their hard earned money on it. And it means something. So
Um, in kind of wrapping it up, I wanted to just say, I guess I'll say it first and I can ask it of you and you can think of something. And if you have something you want to say about it, no pressure. But something, I know we probably have a lot of photographers watching just because we are photographers and maybe that's who we attracted, other photographers. I just wanted to close it by sharing something that's made a big difference to me in relating to other people and relating to my work. And maybe if you have any closing piece of advice you want to share. We're photographers, and like we were talking about, our lives are living on these phones right now. And I've sat down with people I didn't know I was going to meet at a workshop or on an airplane, and they've been like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a photographer. And they're like, oh, what's your Instagram? And then I watch them pull it up while they're sitting there, and they're like, oh, nice. And then, you're like watching them decide to follow you or not. And it's just like, I'm like, I love shooting and I love my work, and this is a nightmare interaction. And something I took it upon myself to do that I kind of just want to share with people watching is I got these 4x6 tins of Hahnemuhle paper, and I bought all these small boxes, and I made like 5 different sets of like 4 prints of 4x6 images of work that is just impactful and personal and meaningful to me. And they're on this Hahnemuhle paper that's beautiful, and it doesn't matter. And this one's even in hardwood, and I got my like branding carved into it. So I have like one.
oh, you fancy.
Well, I mean, that's the fancy one, but I put this in my car and I put one in my camera bag, and I've been taking them with me. And then when I meet people and say I'm a photographer, and they're like, oh, what's your Instagram? I just hand them the pile of work.
Oh,
And since we're giving away some prints for Pic-Time on this thing, I just wanted to, of all the people that are out there being photographers, handing people their phones to show them stuff, it's such a massively different, more personal experience to hand people a stack of photos. And I think you should do it. And I think everyone out there should do it.
man, that's some next level stuff right there. Like, you just blew my mind. Like, it's like the artist, like, business card. It's like, you got a business card? It's like, actually, I've got a whole box of prints.
And it takes up this much space. You know what I mean? Put
That's
it in the glove box of your car and throw it in your camera bag. And I've gone from having this airplane thing where they open it up and they're like, oh, cool, to handing them a box of the exact same images they're about to see and having people just like sit there and touch them and ask me why I made them and ask me why I shoot like that and ask me, and it turns into like, exactly, this is the kind of interactions I want to have over our work. And where I'm so grateful to phones to be able to sit down and talk to you like this in a way we'd be sending Pony Express telegrams back and forth or something. I'm so grateful for the digital technology for connecting us, but I think it's amazing to get back to a way where someone can touch your work.
man, for real. Like, oh, I mean, it feels good to have something tangible, which is why I decided to, like, have prints in the first place. Because, like, I mean, like you say, you can look at something digital, but, like, to actually feel the work, it's almost like you're connecting with the artists themselves. So, like, that's why I offer prints during, like, my wedding photography, which I'm not trying to, like, pimp my wedding photography or anything like that. But, all my couples get, like, prints for the same reason, just so they can feel that moment and maybe, like, kind of get transported back to that time. So it's something powerful about prints.
I think there's some kind of inner child tie-in, like you said when you started too, because also sometimes I'll hand these to people and they'll be like, oh, thank you, and they're like, hold on. I'm like, you don't have to be careful. You don't have to be careful.
Yeah.
You can smell them. You can, and then it gets that like visceral, physical, like child, when kids love something, they lick it or chew on it or squeeze it. And to be able to actually do that with images is something I've just seen have a really profound effect.
pretty, it's powerful. You know, it's just, especially like when everything's digital, like just it's showing that what you printed was intentional. Like you printed it for a reason, you know. So
Well, to wrap it up, I wanted to say everybody, thanks to everybody who commented on the Pic-Time post. We're not going to pick the winners for the free print from me and Bree for a little bit more. So if you're on this live and you didn't have a chance to go comment on it, I mean, I think it said say something you want Ryan to ask Bree,
yeah,
but you can just go give a thought on the last post or whatever you want. And we're just going to use a computer and choose 2 random comments, and we're going to send out some free prints to you, no matter where you are in the world. So if you want to do that, do it.
yep,
And I
yeah,
wanted to say thanks to you. Holy cow, you're so fun to talk to. I mean, I knew you were fun to talk to at the workshop, but it was a madhouse.
yeah. Oh man. Well, I have to say that this has been surreal. Like I can't believe it. You've been really fun to talk to you too. It makes me just all excited, and I'm just happy that I've been able to share with people my process. Because you know, like I don't go live very often. I don't do videos very often, so you just see
Yeah.
a particular image, and you know, I don't really smile in a lot of my photos. So it's just like happy that y'all get to see who I am, like in the real world and whatnot. So it's been great.
I'm happy I got to see more of it. You know, I was starting out like, do a good job interviewing for Pic-Time, like come up with some interesting questions. And like after your first answer, I was like, oh crap, I need to stop and think about this.
Well, cool. Happy I get something to think about. You know, that's fun for a was it Tuesday for a Tuesday? It is Tuesday. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm happy everyone that showed up. It was good to see everybody, and it was good to talk to you in person. Thank you.
Yeah, and I have like 10 or 15 images of edit of you. I just got our film back from the workshop yesterday,
Oh, I
and
can't.
I haven't even had a chance to download them yet. I downloaded the one just to show you, but I'm
So
excited to see them and send them to you.
like, what in the world? So I can't wait to see the other stuff. Like, if that is just like one that you showed before you even downloaded them, it's like, what else is there? You know. So,
Now the pressure's on. Now I gotta like top the one I sent
oh,
you.
I mean, no pressure.
I mean, we shot in a kitchen pantry.
I mean, that's interesting enough in itself. So no matter what, it's gonna be cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to end the video very carefully because I need to make sure to share it so people that couldn't
Okay,
tune in get a chance. But Bree, thank you so much. It was awesome to connect with you again.
everybody. All right, thank you, Ryan, and you have
Okay.
a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.